Lord have mercy. Yeah. Hallelujah. Won't he do it?
Yes, he will.
Won't he will?
He won't, he will.
He will.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Jessica N. Smith, and I am super excited about today because you know that we are still in our mental health awareness.
Jessica,
What?
do me a favor. Do it again.
You weren't recording.
No, I was recording. Just do it again, okay? Thank you, woman of God. Hallelujah.
We recording?
We was recording then.
No, make sure you put this. Make sure you put this cut. Make sure you put this cut.
We've been recording for 2 minutes and 53 minutes right now.
Okay, raw moment. Desiree,
I
are we recording?
We was recording. I just had the angle. The camera was on a different angle. I was just we didn't want the guests to see.
Yeah.
I didn't want the people to see who we had to. We
Now,
announce
no,
our
put it
name.
all in there. We gonna because we don't. At the end of the day,
It's 3
let me
minutes. I've been recording. Look, y'all, I've been recording for 3 minutes.
Why she show?
3 minutes.
Y'all, okay.
My bad.
Y'all,
Okay.
y'all act like y'all didn't see that part.
Welcome to the Jess Ask the Podcast.
Go on, finish it. Where we
Create a safe space for influencers to have fun, decompress, and just ask.
that's your girl Desiree Danielle. I don't know what's up. Y'all pray for her. Please pray for her today because we felt. You know what? I love you,
I love you too.
and
Jessica.
there's nothing that you can do about it.
Hey, thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, pray. Thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, yeah.
Y'all, you have entered the safe space for influencers to decompress, have fun, and just ask. It's your girl, Jessica S. Smith and Desiree Danielle, per usual. Like I said before, when somebody didn't have the camera in front of me, we have, y'all probably, well, if you know, you can see her because Desiree just kind of gave that up.
Sorry.
Technical difficulty, okay?
my bad.
Who's the technical? That's Desiree.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're super excited because people that know who she is you know they know. But if you don't know, you're about to find out because I don't know, and I'm about to find out. And I'm excited because there's a post that I put out on the Facebook and the Instagram, and the post went like, "Hey, tag your favorite, emphasis on favorite mental health professional."
Yep.
And this particular woman of God, this particular person, when I say tagalicious, like her name just kept popping up, and I said, God, what is it about this one that has attracted so many?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm so curious that I'm going to send an invitation. So we welcome the greatest, the tagalicious.
Come on.
Okay? The one, the only, Jasmine Burns, a.k.a. Dr. J. Burns.
Dr. J.
Hey!
Burns. Woo, woo. Welcome in the building.
Welcome to the platform.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm kind of nervous because when people tell you who they want, that means you doing something for real.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to my church members.
Okay. Oh,
to
that's
my,
what
to
church
my
you go
family
to?
members, Groveland Baptist Church,
Okay.
on the east side in Woodland. Yes, so my church members, my family members, my school members, all of you guys, thank you.
Yeah, like y'all was loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, even I'm not gonna tell you who the somebody is, even DM'd me and say, "Hey, I tagged her, but I want you to know that she is needed on
That's
your
my
podcast."
sister.
I
My
was
sister.
like,
Not birth
What?
sister, but sister.
okay,
Yeah.
y'all sisters. If you get to catch a drift, y'all sisters. I am excited for you to be here. I thank you in advance for your yes. And I'm almost nervous because she paused, baby. She over here
Yeah.
paused, okay? She came prepared. She knows. And she also is a podcaster, so she does this for a living too. Like she does this as far as, letting you know. So I have been allowing the mental health professional to introduce themselves so there can be clarity to their name. Okay.
Yeah.
So, cause we might have some future clients listening. Okay. So if you don't mind introducing yourself, Dr. J.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jasmine Nicole Burns. I have a doctorate in behavioral health management. So my doctorate, it focuses on the management of the facilities for behavioral health. My master's is in rehabilitation counseling, so vocational primarily, but my love has always been transition for whatever reason, whether it's students, whether it is parents, whether it's marriage, transition throughout life. That's my passion. So I'm here to serve the people.
You here to serve the people. You know what? You give me servitude.
Yeah.
You give me servitude. Why is that? How does that assist you in your profession and in the mental health area?
Yeah. So my focus is mainly, like you said, on the people throughout life. That has been my focus from my parents, from my pastor, all of that. That has really helped me to see how I can help them and not have the focus on me. So a lot of times we go into any profession and we see, how can the people around me, how can I help them? But it's really about how can I serve them? How can they best live their life? And that's what I want for our people, especially Black people.
Mm-hmm. And I see that you have a passion for people of color. Does your background help you with that? Like, give us a backstory on like how you navigate that through your counseling, through serving our people unapologetically. Because sometimes people want to be like, oh, well, if you so focus on the people, but if we don't have somebody to focus on us, it's like, who's gonna listen? Who's gonna hear us? So how did you even get to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell people I am a small child of God from Inslee, Alabama. It's what I tell people. From Inslee, Alabama. Yeah, I moved all over. Yeah, I moved all over Birmingham. But from each area that I lived in, I always got this sense that we were being underserved from food stamps, from people coming into our neighborhoods. We were being underserved mentally. So I tell people we were served as far as our basic needs, our home, all of those things people gave us. We went to them, asked for it, but the one thing that we missed out on, is our mental health. So I grew up in a household where my mother, first being a single mother with 4 children, received a whole bunch of help from a lot of different people, but where she struggled at night laying in bed was with her mental health. So even when she became married, my stepfather, he was great with helping out with everything else, providing that type of thing, but he struggled with his mental health as well. So seeing that at extremes, and he had bipolar disorder, seeing that as a child, 9 years old, about when they got married, seeing that really led me to believe that we needed some help in some other areas.
That's so good. I'm so glad that we're in your story, because what I do understand is that that there is a personal point to where it influenced your professional experience. And so I love the fact that you shared that your mother was a single parent. My father raised me and my sister and I. That's probably the more bougie one to say, because we're on with Dr. Jane. Just like but my dad raised me and my sister, and I just knew the single parent home. And so one of the things that you stated at the beginning is that you specialize in, I guess, the idea of transition. When we think about transition, that word, sometimes, depending on in most cases, it's a positive word, but then we don't think about the preparation for it. I want to get into some specifics. So, what does it look like to have a counselor to aid in that in life's transition? We're gonna make it general right now, and we're gonna break it down.
Yeah. So having a counselor in your moments of transition is, you need some guidance. So that's why I provide for a lot of my clients is some guidance. Many of them are left onto their own. So let's say, for example, college students, when they get ready to graduate, they've done all the work and no one is there to guide them into the next step. Marriages, people, they've done all the work before dating, but nobody's there to guide them into the next step. All of that lacks some type of guidance because people think, I've taught them, so now let them be free. Students, 12th grade, a lot of times they've been left to their own device with no guidance.
So what I'm kind of like gathering what you're saying, because even my mind kind of went back to even the idea of single parenthood and the child. I love that we're talking about the child, because I don't think, Desiree, that we've gotten into the nitty gritty of what it is for a child to be or have therapy, like to go through a therapeutic process. And so with that in mind, like, how would you, let me say, in specifics with the child, how do you navigate or teach parents the importance of allowing you to assist them when they're the ones that's always having to be the doer or the provider of that thing? How do you, because I know it's some parents that, like, if I was a single parent and I still have struggled with receiving help, because counselors are sent to help, right? How do you navigate those conversations? What would you say to those parents that are needing guidance but are like, I don't know about that, I don't know if I trust that yet?
Yeah. So most of the time with parents going in is they're on the defense when you go in. A lot of times with parents, a lot of parents, they feel like, you've been called out to them, someone has told on them, or there's something that they're doing wrong. And that's the part where a lot of people get defensive. Even when somebody suggests, counseling or going to see a therapist, it's like something that I did wrong or I'm doing something wrong.
That's so good.
So with parents, we have to adjust it and look from a different standpoint. So name the things that they're doing right first. Pull out all of those things that have been successful. So I tell adults, even with them and their children, that there's things that you've been doing to live life, because you're still alive, they're still alive. So you've been learning to get by, and you've done things that, overall they've been successful, but there's things that you need to work on and can improve on. Then we look at those things that they can improve on.
Now, is this something like, okay, I got questions. Hold on. Questions just fell on me. Thank you, Lord. So when we're talking about the child and the therapeutic process, how involved is the parent in that process, and what does that look like? Do I get to know everything my child is telling you, like, or are you just kind of giving me like a general synopsis of what that child is going through?
Yeah, it depends on the age of the child, I would say. Okay. So the younger the child, younger than 13, the parent is more involved. So we have to navigate, how are you parenting a lot of times? And most of the time, some parents do take some offense to it, but there's things that they can improve upon. So we talk about that in depth. So most of the therapy sessions with younger children, younger than 13, involve the parent. So sometimes people come and they say, hey, my child is acting out in school. So we try to figure out what is going on in that household that's making them, a lot of time it's for attention. So we try to figure out one-on-one time, what can you do as a parent? What other things can you see within the classroom that can be changed? Older than 13, a lot of time I spend with the child. Some things, the parent has been that way so long that they're not going to change. And sadly, sometimes I have to be that reality for that child, that you only have a few more years to live with this parent. And for them, they have some realization. And a lot of people discredit teenagers on what they can learn, what space they're in mentally. They discredit them from their knowledge. But a lot of times teenagers know who their parents are, and their parents have been who they are for so long that it's not going to change. So a lot of times with older children, I do work more intentionally with a child to look forward on changing things in the future than the present.
You know what? You just helped me forgive my counselor. There was a look. These are my confessions. Listen, I'm trying to take, because I was mad, Dr. J. I was mad. I'm gonna tell you why I was mad. Because, all right, and maybe you can speak to this and kind of like provide clarity, because there might be somebody listening that's in this predicament now. I'm 32 years old, so I'm far removed from it. But I remember being a child and my dad sending me or getting me a counselor because I had announced that I was going to unlive myself, right? And my reason being is because my dad and my mom had recently just gotten divorced or whatever. So it was just a lot. I'm the oldest. Like, I'm my dad's oldest. I'm not my mom's oldest, but I'm my dad's oldest. So it was just a lot of, I remember a lot of frustration and a lot of change dealing with that. And so I remember saying things to my then counselor, and I enjoyed it. It was cool. But I felt a type of way when I found out that he knew things about my therapeutic process. And I was like, well, what's the point of him staying outside? When we go? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of him being behind the door?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're going to tell him, just bring him in.
Yeah.
You know, I had that type of sense. So I feel like saying that out loud, because it kept me from the therapeutic process. I think that it also gave me a point where I probably felt judged. If I'm really thinking about it, I feel like I'm in therapy right now. If I think about it, I feel like I was judged enough to be told on.
Yeah.
And so how would you, for families that are thinking about going through this process together, how would you teach someone to navigate that, taking what you what that specific counselor, I'm sorry, I can't stand these braces, y'all. Sometimes I stutter so much. But how would you take that and teach them how to translate that atmosphere to home and not make the child feel condemned for telling their truth?
Yeah. So a lot of times I like to have a sit-down communication with the patient, with the parents, separately, and then together. So I'm talking to the child and I'm letting them know before I tell them. So what your therapist at that time didn't do, but I do it a lot. I sit down with the child and let them know, so you told me this. I'm going to let you know why I'm going to share this with your parent and the reason exactly for it and how it can help you. And then I'm sitting down with the parent and saying, maybe we can have this conversation with the child at a point where they feel more comfortable with, sharing things with you. So my really big thing is on communication. So I want to open up a line of communication on both ways for the child, for the parent, to feel like they are really learning something from the process and so that their relationship can improve.
That's so good. My brain is going like a million miles away, because I think that
so we always have like practice conversations.
Yeah.
I like to do a lot of practice conversations with my clients, and we sit down and say, I'm talking to you as your mother, your father. How are you going to have this conversation? And we go through some one-on-ones, like what's important for you to say. Write it down, those high points that's important for you to get across to them. Because a lot of times you're in the middle of a conversation, things go away from your mind and you start to focus on something else, or the other person may want to focus on something else. But what's really important for you to share with that other person, and write it down so you don't forget.
That's so good. That's so good. What's coming up for me right now is the reasons why. You brought one point earlier, but the reasons why people do not lean into the therapeutic process. What have you found to come of that in your practice, of why people tend to like, I'm good?
People as in Black people.
If we want to be specific, us's, okay? Us's that don't
Black
go but
people.
need it the most.
Yeah, a number of reasons why. A lot of it is because, like you said, judgment. Many times a person is suggested from a friend, family member, somebody else that they don't know that they should seek therapy. And it's said in a harmful or hurtful way because they figure it's something wrong with you, something that you need to change. And a lot of people know that with therapy comes work. And that's what I tell my people the first time I meet them. You're coming here to do some work. Yeah. So I'm not allowing you to just come in here and have a conversation because I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not. We're not having that conversation. So we're coming in here to do some work and coming to do some, changing within you. So if you're not ready to change, we can talk about the process and getting ready to change. Because I used to do, my first start off was in substance abuse, and a lot of people aren't ready for change. So that's something that we had to break down and, navigate and assess, is this person really ready for change? And now I've transitioned that into, my everyday client, where most of them are going through some general transitions, not substance abuse, but still change. So the biggest thing that we talk about is being ready for change. But that's one of the biggest things that people one of the biggest reasons why they don't seek counseling is because they're not really ready for change, because they know it takes a lot of work. But nobody has prepared them or set them down and talked to them about what the work is and how simple the work can be, because a lot of times it gets overwhelming to them. So when they think about, we're talking about a list of things, personality, who I am, who I've been for decades. Somebody is telling me that I need to change who I am. So they get offended by that. So even the good things in therapy, that's one of the main things that I point out when we first talk. What's your strengths? A lot of people don't know what they are. A lot of people have a whole list of strengths, and we work through to assess those, exactly what they are. But most of the time, people don't seek therapy because of the fear of judgment from other people.
You just said something so solid, bro. Like, she just said something so solid, that you get people to acknowledge their strengths. I feel like she finna come for my neck when I ask this question. What is what have you found that keeps people from seeing that? Because I'm gonna give you some preference, because I like to use me as an example, just to make things practical. I just had a conversation today, actually, with some of my leaders, and they asked me, why do you have a problem with acknowledging yourself or thinking that you've done, like, you're doing well? Like, what is that blocking? And I honestly don't have an answer. Like, I don't know. And if you was to ask me to write down my strengths, I'll probably be able to give you like 3 to 5 things.
Yeah.
Like, what do you find is the block?
With acknowledgement comes responsibility. That's what it is. Once you acknowledge that you have some type of strength, you're responsible now for using that to the glory of God. So with acknowledgement comes a whole bunch of responsibility.
Because as long as you're sitting in, I'm gonna say, the ignorance of it or the unawareness of it, or not even voicing it, you don't act on it.
There's no.
Or you don't feel like you're responsible to act on it.
Absolutely.
So now what I'm hearing you saying is my lack of acknowledgement of my strengths is also the fear of the responsibility that comes with it.
A lot of times it is.
So does that make me a hypocrite? Like, in my mind, it's like, okay, because I'm in a space where I'm like encouraging people, and I'm saying this is a space for influencers, and this is a space, and da 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 da. But I'm also coming against myself, and I'm not even influencing myself.
It makes you human.
Thank you for that. That was so therapeutic of you. That was so therapeutic.
That was freeing though.
No, for real, because sometimes I be trying not to like be the vessel, but I really feel like it right now, so I'm just gonna go with it. Okay. It could be very much so robotic, like operating in the spirit of perfectionism, right? Like, we're using the word transition. I don't know how to transition out of that. And it's like, I can only see what's needed to be done, like what is not good in a situation. Like, I can praise everybody else and know that everybody else is good. But as far as for me, it's hard to transition out of the mindset of there's more to be done. Yeah. Like, how give me some coping mechanism. I need help, Dr. J. I need help. I'm just saying, because somebody's on here that can relate to what I'm saying. And like, how do I practically make that transition or practically move out of that space? What would be some homework that you would give me?
Yeah, the largest homework that I give for any activity that anybody is going in is looking at the pros and cons. So what's the worst thing that could happen if you move out of the spirit of perfectionism? What's the worst thing that happened? And then I get people to write a long list of those things. And from what they see a lot of times is that their worst, or what they believe is the worst, is not the worst at all. So that's the biggest homework that I give people, is to evaluate that and look at, a lot of times what you believe is your worst. You've already dealt with it. You've been already brought from it. So a lot of times people keep moving once they realize that.
I'm sorry. I'm so glad that you're the last counselor I have to talk to on this platform. I swear to God, I can't stand none of y'all. I've been getting,
Getting a whole life together.
Desiree, please hold on.
Listen.
Okay. All right. Let's take a hard turn. All right. So, Dr. J, one of the reasons I've also found and seen, and that I'm currently experiencing, if I can be transparent, is that the financial responsibility, speaking of financial responsibility, if I'm a single parent and I'm looking, let's say I have the mindset to do this for not only for my child, but for myself, but I don't have the resources. What are some ways that people can navigate through that? Because I'm aware of certain things, or maybe it's a counselor to counselor type thing. Like, what are some resources people can use to make sure that they have the same opportunities others have with programs that will help you with your mind?
Yeah, so there are a few things out there, and it depends on, your level of need. And the biggest thing is going to find an organization in your community. So many times there are people out there that are reaching out and they're sharing things at the school, especially for parents. They are coming to the school and sharing things. So they may send a flyer home, and a lot of time we throw it out and put it in with the rest of the homework, that type of thing. But a lot of resources are going out to the school. And I know recently Birmingham City Schools, with their truancy program, that was the biggest thing that they were trying to figure out, why so many students had not been attending school. So they
What's the truancy program?
For Birmingham City Schools, they recently started at the beginning of last school year. A lot of their students were missing out on school, and they were trying to figure out the reason why many of them were missing out on school. A lot of them, the reasons were their parents had to go to work. A lot of them didn't have transportation. A lot of them didn't have school uniform, food to eat, that type of thing. So they were working individually with students one-on-one that they saw were missing a lot of school to figure out what resources they needed. So schools are trying to help, and people in the community are trying to help. Churches especially are trying to help. A lot of times it's really open for us to ask for the help. Something that we have a hard time doing as Black people.
Yeah.
It's asking for help. But we've been taught and conditioned to be that way.
So I'm so glad you brought that. So as a because you're not Superwoman, right? So as a counselor, what does it practically look like your responsibility is in, I guess, advocating for situations such as that, like with the prompting of asking for help and making sure that the help is received?
Yeah, so that's a thing that I like to have available for my clients when we talk one-on-one, see what area they're in, is to have a list of resources. And many counselors out there do. So I do say go out and reach out to some of the counselors in your area. They do have lists of resources, food banks, different things that are available to people in the area.
That's good. Question coming up, because I feel like a lot of people say, okay, well, you want me to go to a counselor, but it's so much to choose from. Like, if I'm navigating through, and this is my first time looking for a therapist, looking for a counselor, what advice or suggestions would you give people to to look for a mental health professional?
Yeah, so a lot of times I suggest to people going out to Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls. A lot of therapists have profiles on that page, but also reaching out to people that you know individually, people that you see are being successful, that you hope to be like. A lot of them are already seeking therapy or have sought therapy, and they have some suggestions for you. But with the online platform, Psychology Today and Therapy for Black Girls, a lot of them, the therapists will spell out, what their focus is, what their interests are, who their clientele is. They have their websites out there. And I've seen very recently in Birmingham, a lot of therapists having like fairs. So I went to one last year, but there was one that was set up for today, but the rain, they rescheduled it for next week. But a lot of people are having mental health fairs now at churches, outside of churches, in the community, mental health fairs where you can actually meet the therapist. But the biggest thing that I like to tell people when you're searching for someone for therapy, that the first person that you reach out to or that you sit down and have a therapy session with may not be the person for you.
That's so good. At what point? Because I think, in my mind, this is my mind. Like once you say, okay, I'm committed to going to therapy, and I find a therapy, I'm really not encouraged to look for somebody else. Like, because I don't even like dating like that.
Yeah,
I don't even like dating like that. So it's like, what? I don't know. How do I know? What questions do I need to ask in the first, I guess, counseling session that will help me know to move on quickly so I won't be discouraged?
Yeah, so many therapists, they give like a 15-minute consultation. And I do that, and I talk to the client or potential client about what it is, my background. I talk to them and ask them about their needs. And that's when you can talk specifically about some things that you're experiencing. And if that therapist has some background, you can ask them about, their background and working with, if you've been experiencing some symptoms of depression or anxiety, if that's something that they have experience in. But a lot of times that first session, even after the consultation, that first hour session, you really get to know the therapist, their personality. And from there, you'll know what your focus is. Because sometimes I've seen therapists, very different approaches. Some of them, they talk directly, and depending on the client that I'm talking with, my personality can be more direct or indirect depending on what they need. So it may be your approach to therapy as well that changes, how that therapist is communicating with you.
You just said something that I can't run past. So basically, based upon my level of communication with the therapist is, I guess, encouraged to make the proper adjustments so that the client is comfortable. Yeah. So if I'm not making it known what I need in the beginning, I'm more than likely to experience disappointment in my therapy process.
Yeah, and I'm very direct. So I will ask, we come in here to, talk real about what it is that you really need. Right. So I'm going to ask directly. And a lot of times in communication, we're taught to kind of skirt around what it is that we need. We're taught to not directly say what it is that we really need. But I talk to my clients individually, one-on-one, and really dive deep into the things that they're desiring to, move into and move away from. So we talk directly about that, and I tell them that my therapy approach is really based on what it is that they present. So if you come to me and you're really only talking about school and that's what you want to focus on, I can focus on that. But if you want to take a whole deep dive into you growing up as a child and the trauma that you experienced from that, I can go way back to there.
I'm so glad you just brought that up, because I'm like, okay, what if I got a whole bunch of stuff going on? How do you know what to hit first? Like, I got relationship issues. Yes. I'm transitioning from college to, I got all this stuff. I'm having, I don't know if you consider yourself a Christian counselor or you bring spirituality inside, because I know that's a thing.
Yeah,
maybe.
It is.
But like, how do I know what to tell you, what I want to attack first? Because right now I can't even think. I'm just happy that I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, if I be real, I'm just happy to be in the service one more time. Because it's like, how do you teach people to navigate? Okay, this is where we're gonna attack first, or are you just allowing the therapist to have like dump on them, and then y'all go through the process? Like, cause I'm curious about that, because I'm finna find me a new therapist.
Yeah, so I go individually. I go through every area of your life. So we talk that first time, we break down what's your spiritual state look like, what does your general mental state look like, your health, your physical fitness, how does that look, your family relationship, your romantic relationship, and we differentiate between those and go through and talk one-on-one about each of those situations. So if there's something spiritual that you have going on, then financial, we talk about that too. Because what does your career, your education look like? What does your family, love life look like? Where do you want those? So our first step is to assess where you are in each of those areas. So I go one by one and talk to you about each of those areas. And then our second meeting is where we go and look at, where do I want to be in each of those areas? And then what's the biggest priority for me? What's going to help me to move forward fastest? What's going to help me to move forward and be the most important to me? What's going to make the biggest impact on my life right now? Mm-hmm. So that's what we go through and decide, is it my relationship that's stressing me out? Can I make a quick decision on that? Or is it something else with my career that's stressing me out? Is it something spiritual that I need to work on? And how important? So we go through a rating system and we rate how important on 1 to 10 is this area of your life for you. Mm. And what impact is it making on, your stress level right now? So if we need to lessen your stress level and, your finances is your biggest, maybe we need to talk about that first.
That's good. I'm envisioning myself on your couch right now. I am envisioning myself on your couch, and the way you're talking is so good. So how do I navigate if I'm your and the reason, and let me be very clear, you guys, this is not a therapy session, but my goal here is to give you, for one, break the fear of what this process really is.
Right.
Because in my, real talk, the TV will have you messed up.
Yes.
Absolutely. The TV will have you messed up, and it's not the real thing. Mm-hmm. And so my heart is really to give us a proper understanding in a visual place. So so I hope you don't mind me pulling on you like this and putting myself in that place.
Yeah.
And so let's say we've navigated through that, and I come in on a day where I'm just like, I can't see beyond what's in front of me right now. Mm-hmm. What is the communication on, but I know what I'm coming to you for. I want to get to the root, but I'm terrified, or I don't know the language, or how do you help me navigate through that? What does that process look like?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I tell people when they first come in is that my goal is to educate them. So like you're talking about, most people don't know what they're signing themselves up for when they do it. So I educate them on the process and what it looks like. And as far as terms, that's one of the biggest things. I have so many people come to me and they was like, I don't know what to call it, or I don't know if this is anxiety or depression, and I don't know if you would call it something else. But I'm like, talk to me as if you're talking to, somebody on the street that has no sense of what it is. So describe to me what you're going through and what you need help with. So I educate people. So I sit down and take the time, and a lot of people don't have that opportunity for them to be educated and, what the different practices are as far as therapeutic processes. They don't know, individual, they may have been labeled as a child with having ADHD. They don't know what that looks like, or what the definition of that is, or what the cause of that is. So I educate them a lot of times on some of the things that they may have been previously diagnosed with or heard something about. A lot of my education is because people have heard stuff on social media and now they think they have it. So a lot of my education is about doing that. So we in tune, because I was just about to ask you, because I'm not gonna call nobody else out in my family, but my sister, she likes Google. She likes Google, okay? And so I've used Google myself. And so how does one know? What are some signs? Because we throw this word anxiety and depression. Like, what are some signs that I have it? And what do I do
where do I need to go to? Because I'm about to tell you something, Jay. I'm
Yeah.
about to tell myself, okay? Dr. J, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
I'm about to tell myself. Self had some depression. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, and all my folks knew. And I'm grown at this point.
Mhm.
Like I'm grown, full grown, not 30 yet, but full grown at this point. I remember them taking me to the doctor. I think it was an urgent care,
Mhm.
and they made me take this test,
Yes. Yeah.
like on the scale of 1 to 10, I guess. And they was
Mhm.
just like, "Well, oh yeah, you're severely depressed," and they prescribed me something.
Yeah.
The medicine they prescribed me made me so jittery that I was so discouraged to go do anything else. What did I do wrong in this situation?
No, this situation happens very often. So a lot of times we go to our primary care physician, or some people even end up in the emergency room, especially if it is anxiety. A lot of times they're having heart palpitations, their palms are sweating, they may even have a fever, and they think something is going on. They may be having a heart attack or something like that, or they think they are, and a lot of times it's anxiety, or they've just had a panic attack. But many times what the doctors do is they try to get you out of there. So they are getting paid for 15 or 30 minutes, and they try to get you out of there as soon as possible. And a lot of times they don't educate you. And for a lot of my clients, I tell them that sadly, they don't feel it's their job, even though it is.
Wow.
A lot of times they don't feel like, that's what they're called to do. So I take that time, and a lot of therapists do take that time to explain what it is. And therapy can help in that situation. So even for people that are going to a psychiatrist, and that's one of the things that I educate on as well, as the difference between a psychiatrist
Can you please,
and a therapist.
Jazz? I mean, Dr. J, I'm so sorry. Can you please make what is the difference?
Yeah, so a psychiatrist has a medical degree, just like your primary care physician, your cardiologist, but they're a specialist just like that cardiologist would be. So they have that medical degree, and most of their training is on the internal process that you go through, the chemical imbalance that many people have for depression, anxiety, and a lot of times some of your symptoms can be fixed through that. So seeing that psychiatrist, most of the time, the appointment is only 15 minutes. Yeah. So they don't sit down and do
Hold up, the
talk
appointment with
therapy.
the psychiatrist?
Yeah.
It's 15 minutes?
Yes. So they're coming in there, what we call it is medication management. So they're just trying to see, how is this medication affecting you? Do I need to change it? Is it working? What dosage do we need to decrease or increase? But they're not talking to you about your life situations that are also affecting you. So some people, they have chemical depression. Some people have some other symptoms that may be going on internally, some things that may be even hereditary that they're experiencing with their mental health. So medication may help that, but therapy in combination is the best process for all.
So does we gonna act like Jessica is the person. Does Jessica get that information from the psychiatrist, or I gotta look for both? Because in my mind, would we not need to work together? Like, is there not a team? Like, because to me it seems broken, and like, but you telling me I'm getting 15 minutes here, but I get an hour with you, and now I'm popping pills and trying to find therapy. And don't let me be spiritual, because I'm like, where's Jesus in all this? Like, help me navigate through that. Like, who helps me find the next person?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times the doctors, if you have a good primary care doctor, they will refer you to a therapist once they prescribe the medicine, or if there's something more serious that they're seeing, like you may have bipolar, which requires a lot more concentration, they may refer you to a psychiatrist. So the therapist, they're going to sit there and talk to you. A lot of times there are connections between the two, the therapist and the doctor, a communication, but the communication is very brief. So I send for my patients that requested, I will send an update to their doctor, letting them know how our process is going, how many times they've been to therapy, what things we're working on, what things are improving, what things are not improving, so that they can get that update. But a lot of times there's not a communication between the doctor, your primary care, or the psychiatrist and your therapist. So yep, y'all may be working on completely different things, and there may be completely different diagnoses. So I always tell people to seek both
At the same time?
at the same time.
Okay, so, because we talking about our community.
Yeah.
And we real sensitive about the mental health and the chemical imbalance.
Yes.
And the words crazy. And
Yeah.
I can't stand that word.
Yes.
Like, I really wish we could use a different term, but just to make it plain for us. Like, okay, I'm sorry. My brain is going, because my thing is this, Dr. J, is that when we believe something, or when we are living in this lie, first of all, I gotta break the lie that I don't need help.
Yeah.
Then I gotta break the lie that there's possibly there might not be any chemical imbalance, because if there is, then I'm deemed as crazy, then I'm deemed as unusable, then I'm deemed as all these things. Like, we keep bringing the bipolar word up, so let's just go there. So what I've learned about that specific mental disorder is that when not treated, it can go left.
Yes.
And so with families, I'm very big on this. With families that deal with whether they're the person that's with the diagnosis or the people that are nurturing that, what advice do you give them when they're in this space of, I ain't nothing wrong with me, but we keep going through the same thing over and over again? Like, how could you send words of encouragement or support? Like, what do they need to do as a unit?
As a unit, the first step is coming in and talking to a therapist. That's what I recommend first.
As a family?
Yes.
Okay.
As a family.
Because she said yes.
Yeah. Yes. As a family. And that's one of the things that I want for the Black community, is saying that that's okay to do as a family.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're torn in many directions as a family unit, and different things are keeping us apart. And it's been structured that way for decades, for centuries. And in order for us to really improve as a family unit, Black people in general, we've got to start working to navigate, to really get over the problems, the issues that we're facing as a unit. Mm-hmm. So we've been taught to do things separately, to be independent, strong, work on it, and move forward the process. Most of my people are individual therapy, but they have husbands, they have children, they have other family members, sisters, brothers that also need therapy, and they tell me that a lot of times. And I challenge them to have that talk and conversation and invite them into therapy. So I'm working with quite a few different people to move to have that conversation with their family members, like this would be a good idea. And the reason why it would be a good idea, and we break that down and individually talk about that. But if we're going to move forward as a community, as people, we're all going to need some healing individually and together.
I think we just kind of hit something that I'm like, okay, Lord, because and we're not even just going to call out bipolar schizophrenia, like anything that is outside of the I don't want to say normal, but that has required medication to it. What are your thoughts on the holistic practices on managing those detrimental disorders? That I would say detrimental because they're more serious. Like, if you don't do something about this, like you might not remember me by the time you're 70 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we really think about that. Like, I really don't, as a people, I really think we don't think about the longevity or the legacy that we leave when we don't address it. But there's this, everything cute and holistic. I'm doing a holistic herbs and all the stuff like that. But what are your thoughts on that? Because I hear stuff, but I'm not aware of the effectiveness of the holistic practices on those levels of mental health disorders.
Yeah, so I am an encourager. So I encourage people to give things a try. So if that's what they want to give a try first, we can do a trial period, 3 months, 6 months. And after that, we need to try something different. So if that's not working for you, you know, herbal medication or whatever you're trying, maybe we need to try talking to that psychiatrist and try a medication. And a lot of times for people prescribed medications, that first one, just like I said with your therapist, that first therapist may not be the one for you. That medication, a lot of times it takes about 3 before they find the right one for you.
What? Okay, I need you to run that back. I need you to say that again because so remember I just told you that I gave up on the medicine or whatever that was given to me. And not to say, because, you know, us as believers, sometimes we go, you just need Jesus. You just need, no, Jesus made these opportunities for a reason. Yeah. So if something wrong and you need a little help, I mean, it's no different than like, you know, high blood pressure or having to go to the doctor because you keep having migraines. Like it's the same thing. Like you're taking care of yourself. And so like that process of, I guess it requires a level of patience with not only the doctor, but yourself, because you really don't know how you respond to, I guess, certain medications. So is it different medications or is it just like different doses? Ooh, I can't say that word.
Dosages, yeah. It can be both.
Okay.
So it can be both. And what I was thinking while you were talking is a lot of times we've been conditioned as Black people from centuries, and it's reasons why, you know, trusting medicines, trusting doctors. There's reason why we have a hard time doing that, especially Black women. So given that opportunity, there are different dosages, but there's also different lines of medications that work to change the function of different neurotransmitters that you have in your brain. So
Can you say that word one more time?
Neurotransmitters. Chemistry stuff way back from 11th grade.
Because that was finna go. Science was not my subject. Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't my favorite subject either. Yeah, that's why I didn't go into psychiatry. But I'm glad God called me to be a therapist. But so there's different medicines, there's different dosages, and a lot of times the doctor may try a different dosage or they may try a different medicine that may react with a different part of your brain. So you have to give them time. And I tell people most of the medicines take about a month, 2 months to get in your system. And a lot of times after that, we've given up on the medicine because we're expecting it to work now, just like therapy. A lot of people give up on it after 2 or 3 months because we're expecting it to work now.
This is coming up, and I gotta ask this because I just feel like somebody may feel like this. Is this something that, and excuse the ignorance of this question, but is this the curiosity of, was I born with this? Like, how would you respond to, like, is this something I was born with, or is this something that trauma ignited with these disorders?
Both. So some people, genetics play a lot of part into it. And the reason why we have a hard time finding out a lot of times if genetics played a part into it, it's because our community doesn't talk about issues. So my aunt may have experienced it, or my great-grandmother may have experienced it, and we chucked it off to something else. We didn't talk about it at all. A lot of times we hide it. So I've seen, especially, I've worked with a lot of children with autism, and they think back, family members, like my uncle may have had it. I didn't know, they didn't know, we didn't talk about it, we just brushed it off. So a lot of things are genetic, but a lot of things happen by our growing up and the experiences that we're in. So our socioeconomic environment puts a lot of us into depression, causes us to be anxious because we're worried about, you know, the things going on the outside of our door when we wake up in the morning. So a lot of times it can be both. And then the combination of those can make it even worse.
That's so good. You just brought something up, and I promise you I'm gonna stop pulling on you, woman of God. But like, I've been learning so much through this
It's been good.
It's been real good, and I love how God just allowed different things to come up and just like make things practical. You brought the word autism up, and isn't that something that well, because when I looked it up, maybe what's that neurodivergent?
Yes, yeah, neurodivergent.
Well, first of all, what does that mean? This word just keep going around, but isn't that something dealing with the autistic?
Yeah, so it's a list of different disorders or diagnoses that are under that. So it's autism, ADHD for a lot of people, but really what the word is looking at is there's a difference in your brain and how you navigate the world as a whole and how you navigate your interaction with people, how you navigate your interaction day to day is different from the typical person.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so in my smartness, in my smartness, okay, I would guess that because I guess let's start with my ignorance. In my ignorance, I guess just for an example, like an autistic kid or an autistic person, I wouldn't think that naturally it was like, oh, what would they need therapy for?
Man,
that's so bad, but it's probably somebody else that think that too. But it's like, what would they need therapy for? Because would they be able to comprehend the change? Because they can't really help. That's just my ignorance. But in the smart, well, no, I'm just gonna allow you to correct my ignorance. Just correct my ignorance.
You would be so surprised how many therapists going through school aren't educated on working with children with autism. So I used to work in the college atmosphere, and there's been in the recent decade a surge for children who have autism, children who have learning disabilities to attend college. So there's some programs all over the U.S. that have specifically for those students a special agenda for them to attend college. And many of them, navigating the things that general college students do. So I've had students go to the therapist at their university and have some trouble. So they had trouble communicating with those therapists. Those therapists didn't want to accept them as patients because they did not know how to communicate with them. They did not know if the therapy would be effective, did not know how to talk to them. So that is a specialty. So I talk to people, and a lot of my clients, they either have some form of autism or they're children. So I talk with a lot of people whose children have some autism as well, learning how to navigate and communicate with them. But not all therapists are trained to communicate with individuals with autism.
That's powerful within itself, because now that you can bring it back to the family therapy or the family dynamic of it, is not only what I just heard you say, it is not only important for the person that's been deemed autistic, but actually the family of it. Because Black people, we just generalize everything is crazy. Like we just unfortunately generalize things as two things: you either crazy or you slow, or both. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, there's language, there's a term for it, and then there's language that goes with the term. That's what if I ain't learned nothing else today, I've learned that we have to call the thing a thing, then there's language for that thing, and then we know there's navigation for it. Listen, I might be a doctor after this, Dr. J. I might have a little Dr. J oil. Okay, Desiree.
Man, this has been really good. Like I haven't said much, but I've just been sitting here just taking it in. And when you get the information, if you're in a space of growth, like you can really just kind of evaluate, like looking back over your family, like interactions and things that you've had. And the one thing I can appreciate, Dr. J, is what I've observed is like your heart really is for people. And because it's for people, you understand that because we a lot of times won't go to therapy and the reasons why, you make it your mission to make sure they're educated on, hey, how can this benefit you? Like, what are we doing? Like, this is the information so that they can then make an informed decision. You know what I'm saying? But when y'all were talking, what came up was like how we go to the doctor. Right, we go to the doctor and we may have something really going on, but they be like, oh, "How you feeling today? What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, my toe hurt." right? So now the doctor is looking like, oh, now let me help the toe, but really it's deeper than that, because we're not comfortable with going in being honest about what's going on. And so that's kind of like with therapy, like when you make the decision, because you got to make the decision to go. Like if you're gonna make the decision to go, you might as well just go and go on in, right? You know what I'm saying? And just go in. You're paying for it with your time, resources, whether you're paying out of pocket or whether it's insurance or whatever. But if you really want to get the benefit out of it, you just have to go in as open as you can, as open as you know how to, and then allow the process to be the process. Because we want to go in and put the chicken in the microwave and it be done in 2 seconds, right? But you gotta you have to give it that part. But you just gotta allow the process to, because everybody's process is different. So I just been soaking it all in, and just because it's like
very intelligent, like very matter of fact, and not necessarily matter of fact of like I know it all, but so passionate in servitude of your knowledge. Like
that's exactly what I got.
I see why people said your name.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
I really understand, because it doesn't seem like you have a problem with somebody walking up to you and say, hey, I got questions.
Yeah.
And before I commit to this, because it's fear attached to it. Absolutely. It's fear attached to somebody else seeing your nakedness. Because eventually if you get, but the beautiful thing, and I want to say this because God gave me this revelation not too long ago, is that, just like Jesus said, when I leave here, I'm sending you a helper, right? He gave me the correlation of the helper being the counselor. Yeah. Like if we, as believers, right, Holy Spirit can work through people like that. Literally, that's what normally happens. Like, and even if he's working within you, you are the person. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, if we believe in Jesus, we believe in the totality of him. I think we can't separate Jesus and Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a detriment to us to do that. And then when we separate Holy Spirit from people, we kind of like are a detriment to ourselves. And so what I mean is, I thank you for being the helper. Yeah. Like,
that's real talk.
You are so needed. Like other therapists, other people, psychiatrists, mental health professionals, thank you. Like really thank you for allowing people to dump on you. Like real talk. Like just, I don't know why I'm going here, but I'm just going to trust it. Thank you for allowing people to be ugly. Yeah. Thank you for allowing people to surrender themselves, surrender the idea of being perfect, surrender the idea of having to live in rejection, surrendering the idea of having to only be available for everybody else but themselves. Thank you for being the liaison. Thank you for being the prime example that Jesus left you for us. Yeah. So good. My God, thank you so much. And I pray, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm gonna go with it. I pray for people like Dr. J. I pray that they get the stamina, that they get the self-awareness, that they get what's needed for them, not for us, but for themselves, because they've given of themselves in a profession. Like they're the professional help. They say, I'm going to surrender. In some cases, I'm about to be real. In some cases, they're not even paid for what they do. Yeah. They're not even paid in full of what they do. Some of these people are doing it from the kindness of their heart. And so the excuse, my God, the excuse of not having the resources and not having what we need to be better, it is a choice. Yeah. It is a choice. And these people are saying, hey, I am available. I am available. The reward is that you operate in the choice of being healed. I think that correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. J, would that be the best reward that you see out of someone's situation? Yeah, that's my end goal, is to help the people that I'm working with to find their purpose. That's my sole goal. So I have, and you're talking about doing it for free, I have 3 slots available. Come on. I just got chills in my body. 3 slots available. I just got chills in my body. No cost to them. Whether they have insurance, I'm not charging. Come on. So, okay, let's go there. How can they reach out to you on this? And this is for people that see this platform. So I need y'all to be very, Dr. J just said she has 3 slots available. If you're watching this, how do they need to submit a, I done got excited. Oh my gosh. We freeing people. Come on. Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. She said 3 slots. How do you want them to connect? Psychology Today
I'm under there, Jasmine or Dr. Jasmine N. Burns on Psychology Today. You'll find me in the 35228 area if you want to find me quicker, but you can type in my full name, Dr. Jasmine N. Burns on Psychology Today. Those 3 slots, there is no set limit. So if we're working together for a year, I got you.
Whoa. So they need to mention that they saw you on Jess Ask the Podcast.
They can, or they don't even have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we got full instruction. Full instruction, y'all. She said 3. Will you be one? I sound real churches right now. Will you be one? She done laid it on the line. So, oh my gosh, I feel. Listen, this is a blessing. Thank you. That is so. Thank you so much. I'm thanking her on behalf of y'all, whoever the 3 is. Like y'all's life is about to change. And she says there's no time limit. So we bless God, and God is gonna bless you tremendously for that. Oh my gosh, let me not go because I'm finna tap into a whole nother place. And so this has been. I've learned so much through this whole process, but baby, you didn't broke my brain today. Like, you have really broken my brain in a great way. And I want to give you an opportunity each time on Just Ask the Podcast. We give opportunity for the guests to leave a final thought. If you had any final words, if they didn't hear anything you said, what would be your last comment in this series? Yeah,
my last thought is to do what's best for you, for the glory of God, so that he can lead you into your purpose. If you don't know what it is, we can work to find out what it is. Yeah. Really big on finding what you've been called to do here on this earth. And that's how you're going to long-term stay happy.
That's so good. Y'all heard it from Dr. J. Desiree. I don't know if I want to do this again next year.
It's been very sobering.
Oh, sobering.
Yeah.
Awake. I'm awake. I'm woke. It's supposed to say I'm woke. This has been amazing. Thank you, Dr. J.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. We
invitation.
Appreciate. Oh, listen. If y'all didn't hear, throw out your podcast real quick. What's the title?
Medicine for the Melanated and Misguided.
Medicine for the Melanated and Misguided. You guys, that's her voice. That's her platform. And so if you are curious about more details regarding the aspect of mental health, please go follow her, subscribe. She has definitely won my subscription. I mean, my God, and not saying that you were trying to, but my God, I mean, I'm going to subscribe because you're very well-rounded, well-knowledged, and well-balanced. And so we appreciate you. Thank you so much for participating in this series. Thank you for your yes, Desiree. Yeah. Until next time, until next week, remember, life could be much more simple if you just ask. See you later.